Greetings once again, Earthlings. The stream in the studio just liked to drop out, and was I think subject to the great angle on the camera here. Was subject to the angle of assault on the by the BRAP unit, causing the Wi-Fi to be disrupted, because I just think that the sound intensity in the studio can wipe out all things that are normal. I have to say that it is a impressively aggressive unit. It requires some taming. It barely even is tameable at the current time, and that's part of what we're trying to tame to try and obtain a releasable module. It's gotten to the point where I would say it is monstrous, untamed, but somewhat desirable. So I think people at this point may probably want a module that is so aggressive and fun to play. I don't know how much of it is as far as being a tonal drum instrument that is attractive to the common ear. It's definitely an outgoing perspective that you would have to really dig it. But the BRAP unit is something that is now in its final version of what's called as the first article. It's basically a PCB version of a hand-built instrument. So if you turn it into a printed circuit board and then fill it full of components, it basically can then be built up by a machine instead of people, and thus creating the end result. So the end result was to try and make the PCB unit as nice and aggressive as the prototype. And that's taken us a better part of 6 to 8 months to achieve the things, because little things would all of a sudden go wrong, or it wouldn't sound as aggressive as the original, or just minor nuances here and there. Or you fix one thing and another thing shows up. There's still one thing that is on the PCB that we have to repair, and that's what's stopping us from going into manufacturing immediately. But I am pushing so hard to get this thing into production that I think it's like no more than a week or two away, and that would be really really good news for us, being that it's been a 3-year project. The original inspiration for it comes from the Pearl Syncussion. It's also called the SY1. It's a dual drum synthesizer, and it's pretty hard to get on the market now. It's I think it's gone up in value. It's worth about $2,000 or $3,000 on eBay if you can find one in good shape with all the stuff. So it's not cheap, and it certainly is tame and very limited in comparison to this new version. And the reason is that the original is an analog synthesizer, and ours is features digital oscillators, but it also the original did not have a tunable variable behind a second hidden oscillator that was in the original design. There's simply two. It was two oscillators. One was only tunable, and thus you could achieve the result of the boo sort of syndrome typical sound. This one, we have two DCOs which are both tunable, but also there is a couple of parameters which allow you to sort of sift through the sound as though it almost becomes almost like granular synthesis. But the effect of those things is pretty intense. And that's, I think, what I'm finding attractive about it. So, not to blabber on too much about BRAP, but that's almost done. I wanted to show you one of the hats. This is one of the hats that we'll be doing with Mishka. And as you can see, it comes with interchangeable patches that go on there, just like that. You can see that it has an inside print, a back print, and they are fitted. So if you don't know your hat size, you'll probably have to go and figure it out. For me, I am all the way a size 8. My brain is just way too big, or my head, or my skull, I'm a Neanderthal. Something about it. See, once you put the patch on the hat, it's not going anywhere. This hat, you can see, it showed up at a 7 3/8 or whatever.
It's my head.
It's Rihanna's hat, so I can't wear it, but today you can have that patch. Tomorrow you can have this patch. And you just gotta line it up. And then you're set with your
Are
other.
you also going to do other custom patches?
Yeah, I'm also, Rihanna just reminded me, we're gonna do a set of custom patches that you'll be able to get from Subcon later on our website, that you can adapt them with stuff like the Neko Inochi logo, or Fisherman the Cat would like to be on one. Fish, say hi to everybody. Connie's here too. She'd like to say hi to you, but she's down here. Oh, what are you stepping on there? Let's see what we got here. Hello, La Human. Thank you. Yeah, the Mishka Subcon collab has been like a long time coming. I actually first met Greg Mishka through toy collecting, and oddly, he was a friend of my friend Naib Estefan, and he moved out here to LA a few years ago, and for some reason he was selling. Well, I shouldn't say that. You guys got to keep it secret. He was selling his nag collection, and he wasn't asking a lot of money at all for them. As a matter of fact, I think he probably would want to kill me for how much he sold them to me for. But, you know, that's where I got like 2 or 3 of my nag Sotheby's from, was from Greg. And then we became good friends after that. And oddly, we got married on the same day. All sorts of weird commonalities. And so Greg went to Japan last time with us to do a show. He has a booth as well. We all had booths in Japan selling the Sotheby basil. And Greg has his own Sotheby line as well, Mishka. And so we all had a blast over there, and Greg said, hey, we better do this. And I was like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. So it's been a long time coming. Hey, Adam, Eric. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. The album, as I was getting to earlier, I'm really excited about, and I'm not too sure. The only thing I'm not sure about, other than what, you know, all the songs are done and stuff now, is what to call the album. I think I'm struggling with either calling it the album. I just want to call it Night Flower. There's something about that title that strikes a chord with me. I also had a working title, Songs for Tigerfish. I think that's a little too Starbucks. And then I found a title interesting enough for Canadians who might be listening. If you've ever been to Stanley Park in Vancouver, which I used to basically almost live there when I lived in Vancouver. I was riding my bike through the trails of Stanley Park all the time. It's just a magical environment in there. And even Two Dark Park, I basically came up with that name that was basically about Stanley Park indirectly. But so I found out that there's an old Indian name for what was Stanley Park, and I never even knew it. The whole time I was living in Vancouver, I'd never heard of the name. And it's X-Way. One word, X-Way, X-W-A-Y, X-W-A-Y. X-Way. I mean, I was kind of shocked to see that on an old Indian map, that's what that section of town or part of Vancouver was called. And it even showed that there was an old Indian settlement in the park area. So I knew there was some magical stuff going on there. But I can't decide between those ones. Maybe you guys can give me some feedback on that. It's definitely, I know I tossed up a name earlier, Straight Outta Compton.
No.
Rihanna's like, no. And I'm like, I know. That's just kind of like a kidding thing, but it is kind of funny that that is my actual real last name. How many songs? I think I'm working on 11 or 12 for the final album right now because it's going to be on vinyl with Artifact Records. And I can safely say now that I think there's going to be a box set that is going to feature Music for Cats, Dragon Experience, Ghost of Each Room, and then this album, whatever it's going to be called. X-Way, X-Way. Nightflower. Yeah, one of those two maybe. I'll let you guys decide since you guys are on the subconscious board of directors. Yeah, the native name does sound right. X-Way, X-Way. I agree. Thank you for that, Isomorphic Productions. And other than that, I think I'm up for some questions. I see there's 20 of you out there. I think the first albums have been mastered already. So I think I really think that those probably won't be remastered. They will be released on CD and vinyl in a special box. God, my legs are killing me. I have to sit up for a sec. Sorry, folks. Here, I'll let you look at. How about that view? So, yeah, me too, Tony. I think the reference to a special place in Stanley Park. I don't know if any of you have ever ridden a bike through there. One thing that Dwayne and Rave and I used to do on almost a daily basis was meet at a certain spot inside Stanley Park. The spot inside Stanley Park was if you were at Third Beach and you were to go directly into the woods, say up from the concession stand, you go up that hill and you go across the street and into the woods, there's a trail right there. Bike trail. If you head along that trail towards, say, Beaver Lake, and then you hit the first intersection going left up, it's another trail. You go up there. On the right-hand side, you'll notice deep within the woods some sort of like area that has a mound of rocks.
Oh, no.
A mound of stone. Rihanna's laughing. I took her there. And she claims that she got pregnant as a result of being there. It just could be magical coincidence. Anyways, that's TMI. There's a spot in there that we was like a sacred spot for us, and if you guys can find that, I'll find a picture of it and post it on my Patreon for you.
I have a picture of it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a special spot, and so X-Way, X-Way, I'm starting to think there's some significance to the pile of rocks in there, because deep in the woods there's this big pile of rocks. It's in a circle. They're big stones. Certainly not megalithic or anything, but like big stones that are all piled together into a circle. Could almost be what have been it's not a burial ground. It looks to be a ceremonial something. And then if you look around the forest, there's no other stones around there like that. So they were carried like through the forest to the spot. And kind of a special thing. So let's hear it. Vote. Let's hear your votes on the comment on the thread. X-Way, X-Way, Nightflower, Tigerfish.
People should Google tigerfish.
Google Tigerfish, yeah. Google Tigerfish. Have you ever seen what comes up? It's like the meanest looking fish you've ever seen in your life. Erica, thank you. Simon, you see, if I get a result from Simon like that, then, I think that That might be it. Doug, X-Way, X-Way. Yeah, you know the pictures inside Vivisect 6? Any picture where you see Ogre, myself, and Dwayne in a forest, yeah, that's Stanley Park. And most of the time, we're standing in front of trees that are ancient. And those are the trees of which there's many legends about the trees in Stanley Park. Story of the Seven Sisters, of the legendary Hollow Tree, and I'm sure there's even a multitude of other stories that I just don't even know about. But if you've ever been to Vancouver, basically you need to visit there. I think it's probably the most special thing about that city. It's the thing I certainly miss the most. Yeah, it looks like everybody's on the X-Way, X-Way. And you know what's really strange is that I lived in Vancouver for 37 years, and not once did I ever hear about that story, or that map, or that tale.
Is that it?
Oh, that's the spot, yeah. Here, Rihanna's pulled up pictures. Let's see what we can see here. That's not the actual rock pile that I was talking about. This is one that's right next to it.
Isn't there one right here?
Yeah, this is the bigger rock pile.
Yeah.
You can see that it begins circular there around these trees. Show them that circular one again, though.
Super pretty.
It's amazing, and one of my most favorite things to do in Stanley Park is to go back to that spot. You know, there's no lie that it was what we call the official burning spot. Those of you may recognize the Hilt album cover back there. Speaking of album covers, we haven't started work on the album cover yet, Simon. I've got Alan Yeager doing some designs. I think that he's tapped into a pretty solid core that where we seem to think on the same level as far as like music versus imagery, but Simon basically has always been the guy that puts it all together. So Simon, I'm putting you on the spot here. It'll be on your desk in the morning. Just kidding there. No, I hope you're feeling well there, buddy. Lately, Simon hasn't been feeling too well. Oh, here comes Tiger. Tiger, come say hello. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiger's got something to say to everybody.
Say hi, Tiger Lily.
So Tiger went to the vet today to get tested out to make sure she's all good, and she got a full report back that she's good. And how much did she weigh? 5 pounds 7 ounces.
Yeah.
So she's definitely grown from her last 4 pound. I mean, she's still like just the smallest little thing here.
Say hi, Tiger.
Say hi.
Hi.
She is so hyper that you can barely get her to mellow out. So I love that you guys are down with the album title. That's kind of like what I needed today, was to have a bit of a check-in with my crew here. Oh, hi, Fish. Fish wants to say hi again, you guys. You want to say hi? That's them. Say hi. Don't be shy. Okay. Well, he's shy. So how are you guys doing out there? I was talking with Ken Marshall earlier, and he said it was like 400 below zero up in where he lives. So I feel kind of fortunate being in a place where it's only the most mildest of winters this year. But some say the best thing in the world is when the weather is shit, is to get into the studio and to do something creative, because when it gets hot, it becomes a real drag. Oh, happy birthday, Esomorphic. 30 is a big year to turn.
30.
Big 30. It's also today would have been my mother's 93rd birthday. Yes, indeed, January 19th, 1927, she was born. And, oh yeah, Devin. Hey, Devin. Devin is one of the lads that also has been contributing to a track for the new album. Thank you, Devin. I've yet to finish the work on 13. That's one of the ones that I'm still getting to, mainly because I've got such a huge number of sort of like things to gather together on that one, even though each song's always been difficult. But yeah, so today was my mother's birthday as well, even though she passed away some 35 years ago. It's still like a special day. So good to hear you share that day. I bet you, as a Capricorn, we get along good. I seem to get along like, if ever I have like a friend that becomes a better and better and better friend, it's always like, wait, you probably a Capricorn or an Aquarius. These strange things.
Yep.
Yeah. You ever find that whenever you become good friends with somebody, that it always turns out to be somebody with a specific astrological sign?
Chris, Edward.
You too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Always Pisces.
You Pisces?
Yep.
Me, Capricorn and Aquarius. I am an Aquarius. I am February 13th.
I'm an Aquarius.
Rihanna is Aquarius. She is January 20... better not mess up here. January 29th.
There you go.
Whew. You don't want to forget those things. Yeah. Eric Peterson, you're also one of the ones. Thank you for contributing on 13. Quantum? Yeah, well, I don't know what it is about Aquarians, but we tend to collectively find each other somehow and become good buddies. Dwayne was also Aquarius, and then it's just so weird how you can become connected to somebody like that. Phil wasn't Aquarius or Capricorn. He kind of defies the odds. And it's strange to think that it's almost 1 year since Mr. Phil Western has passed away. In Quantum, that's right, yeah. Sparker.
He passed away during Aquarius.
I think I told you guys the odd story about how Phil has actually passed away on February 4th and was discovered on February 9th. And the exact same thing happened with Al Nelson. He probably passed away between the 1st and the 4th and was discovered on the 9th of February. 20 years difference. But I just found that to be quite an odd fluke, and thus also ending in the term of Aquarius. So my prediction is a little bit, let's say, the rest of this month and probably February I will still spend mixing, and I'm looking to have this thing finished by the end of February. So that would probably look at a June release, and that will line up with the Mishka hats and shirts, as well as, let's just hope the BRAP unit is also going to line up for that. I'm not allowed to say anything about the later part of the year. I'll leave you guys to guess about that. There's been hints around. But that's all I'm going to say. It will be exciting. Next thing for me on the list to get excited about is Japan. We're going over to do the 15-year anniversary party for some of our best friends in Japan. These people that run this place called Bar Sai. Yukio Sai and the crew there have been just like some of our best buddies for years now. I think going on 8 or 9 years. And we're going over to celebrate the 15-year anniversary. And that is going to be a special moment. Actually, a few of you Patreons have checked in to say you are coming, and that's cool. Those of you on the uppest level, of course, get fully taken care of, your tickets and everything. So that's a cool feature, and I got to hand it to one of you for already checking in on that, and that certainly will be a gas to hook you up. Yeah, so cherry blossom season in Tokyo. There's probably not a better time to go, really, milling about and so on. And if you're there, make sure to check in on the show March 28th at Mars Shinjuku in Kabukicho, and we'll have a blast. Other than that, everything's just looking a-okay here. Fisherman is going to do a dance by the looks of things at the end of this month if we can stay at 300. The 300 Club, pretty proud of you guys. Pretty proud of you guys for holding in there and really supporting us, me now, used to be me and Phil, supporting us at Subconscious so that we continue and are able to do things in a fun manner. Today's world has become very sucky with labels, and also digital distribution has become quite ice cold as far as listening to anything or having a connection with anything. The people here on Patreon really have helped. If you can believe it, you really have helped in the creation of an album, not only one but several. And once again, your names will appear on the liner notes, and there's no bullshit. You guys actually are creatively helping albums to be made in no different of a manner, say, than Metropolis or any of these labels. So you guys are to thank now. And I also really appreciate the fact that you keep me on my toes every week to find a song and create it, and create a video every week has really been fun for me too. The making of the videos now is almost as fun as the making of the song. I know they're strange and stuff, but man, there's just something very organic and almost like as much to chance in the video as there is into the music when the things are being created. So I actually think the outcome has been super inspiring, to say the least. So again, if anybody ever asks me about Patreon, I say, absolutely, it's been one of the most inspiring things that I've been involved in my career as a musician, honestly. Gary Newman and Chris Corner have also joined Patreon as a result, so I'm pretty sure that they're enjoying themselves now too. The videos I mostly make just from Premiere, in Adobe Premiere, which is a video editing software. And then, so throughout time, you will have a camera and just shoot like little ditty segments and stuff all over the place. And then as well, I used to do this thing where I'd collect video footage on TV from, random footage that you'd see that would just be, you think, oh, I'll record that and sample it, or I'll sample this, I'll get some voices or whatever. And at first they were for the audio, but later now they've become useful for the mishmash of imagery, and has really provided a lot of inspiration for that. Mark Nugent was doing that with an Amiga computer back in the early 90s, and I remember seeing him having a lot of fun on that. And of course, a lot of the early videos that I was posting here, I was using footage that Mark actually had made. And then from there, I started to get inspired as to how to make it myself, and took it to the next level. So now, although from time to time I will still delve back into Mark world, most of the footage I've created. The last one was actually made from just something on my iPhone where, you take like stupid pictures of yourself and then put together with different filters and stuff. Shockingly Shocking. As Rihanna would say, that it's horrible. Did you even watch it?
No,
You didn't even watch it.
I'm sorry. I'm a bad wife.
Tony Lipford, thank you very much. Roy, thank you. God, I am so blind, people. Do you see that? I'm wearing glasses and I'm squinting to read a screen. There's something horribly wrong about that. So if you ever see me and I don't have my glasses on, and I'm like, hey man, then realize I can't see you.
Hopefully you'll be wearing your cool glasses though.
Hopefully I'll have some cooler glasses by then, Rihanna says.
No, like these ones.
Which are my cool glasses?
Your outside, your distance glasses.
I can actually see with these ones on. Yeah, so don't think that I'm just wearing sunglasses at night just to be like Corey Hart. Actually can see you better if I wear these than if I wear the other one.
Tell them the story of why you wanted them with a red tint.
Why did I want them with a red tint?
Because you stole my glasses and you thought they looked really cool with a red tint.
You think?
Mm-hmm. You went into Lens Crafters and personally requested red tint.
Pass me that. Thank you. Next live radio stream. When is it? Valentine's Day, maybe?
We could do Valentine's Day.
You know, my birthday is February 13th, and Valentine's Day is always kind of like sounded like a good time to do things. So we might do it on Valentine's. I hope you guys enjoyed the New Year's show. The set that Dre pulled off that night, we were just shaking our heads here, thinking, you know, wow. I mean, I actually don't know how Dre comes up with so much material. It's like, I don't think I've ever heard him repeat a set in any way, shape, or form. And that last one was like...
He was on fire.
He was on fire. And sometimes he'll play a song that will be like, you know, it won't be your favorite song, but then he'll follow it up with a song that will make sense as to why he played that. So, yeah, I know he has a good time too. And then Felix, his set was also pretty good too. I also love Felix's set. I think we're going to try and have some more live performances coming up on Subcon Radio too. We have done live recordings for a series of people, Basic, Uterosa, 444 Capsule, what was it called? Braids, Little Braids.
Twin Braids.
Twin Braids, that was Derek, and
Yeah.
they're not around anymore.
Joy Through Noise. Right?
Yeah. So Cyrus Rex, I think a few other people. But we will be thinking about making more of an event program like that coming soon this year. And kind of fun. So I think we gotta split.
Dinner time.
Dinner time. But thank you guys for tuning in today. And Fisherman is going to do a dance this month, I predict.
How is he gonna dance?
He's gearing up for it.
He's been training.
Yeah. Oh, I should also say that those of you who do not have a basil, next week, or no, a couple weeks later, or there's going to be a new basil, and he is going to be red rust clear with some special effects made by Sure Hammer Toy, and then delivered here. And so I think I'm going to have 10 limited editions. So I will be hitting you guys up. If any of you want one of those, let me know. All the best to you, Eric, Devin, Doug, LaHuman, all you guys out there, Simon. Peace out to you guys. Love you. Have a wonderful weekend. Gumon Painted, yes.
Mm-hmm. Who is that?
Hmm?
Gumon Painted.